Hi, everybody. We've reached a new low even for the Liberals and the NDP coalition traders. We've reached a new low. And if we don't like the questioning, or the questioning gets too pointed, or they just don't want to do the meeting, they just adjourn it. So they take a motion to adjourn, they vote it, and then they adjourn the meeting so that the public can't find out anything. Unbelievable. Hi, everybody. Reaper here. Anyway, got a couple of these to show you. I'm going to show you the ArriveCan one where they shut that down, and then I'm going to show you the next one, the the and the S&C Lavalin one as well. So we'll see that one. That's a very interesting one. So without further ado, here I'm going to save you a little bit of pain here because we have a conservative, Kelly McCauley, that comes on first, and he gives us a background on where how we're at this point in time and how we got here with the ArriveCan app and a lot of history. And then I'm going to skip. There's a Liberal, an NDP, excuse me, and a Bloc Québécois that comes on, and basically they blow smoke up the Attorney General's ass and don't ask her any questions hardly at all, except for the last one. When is the audit going to come out? And I'll play you that too, so that everybody knows. And then Larry Brock comes on, and then we'll watch after that, and we'll have a look. So without further ado, here we go.
Thank you very much, Auditor, and I certainly understand and agree with your rules and guidelines about not scooping yourself for that audit. Of course, it remains a work in progress, and we would not expect you to do that today, so I appreciate that reminder. I'm going to turn now to our first member. Mr. McCauley, you have the floor for 6 minutes, please.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate your opening comments. People in Edmonton are obviously in deep shock, and a lot of victims on both sides, innocent victims of Hamas on both sides. So I really appreciate you making that comment. A.G. Hogan, thanks for joining us today. I wanted to actually start this by blaming Bill Curry from the Globe and Mail for his expose, but then I realized it was meeting as a request from a request from my letter to the chair to have this meeting. So I'll split the blame with Mr. Curry for today. And I just want to go over how we got here to begin with the whole ArriveCan app. Now, we've had a lot of stories how this small little app costs Canadian taxpayers, $54 million. We have a company, GC Strategies, which is in the middle of this scandal. It's a so-called IT firm, but it's actually just two individuals working out of a house that seem to have deep, close connections with high government officials, and they act almost as a lobbyist or a executive recruitment firm and not as a IT firm. We've heard from an IT company involved in the ArriveCan process. They were an IT company, and they've actually worked out the amount of hours, consulting hours, spent on ArriveCan would cover 32 years of front-end development and 5 years back-end development based on an 8-hour workday. We had the original goal of the ArriveCan app was to remove, of course, the burden of paperwork for international travelers coming from air and border pre-travel due to COVID. But of course, the app changed over time. We've heard from many tech giants, entrepreneurs that commented on quite critically of the government, and this is a lot from the operations study of ArriveCan, calling out the government on its cost. We had an investor at Roach Capital who held a senior product lead position at Snapchat, and Shopify says he could not comprehend how the cost got to $54 million. Another tech person said the amount spent on the app is shocking, especially around the amount of capital spent to build the app and the distribution of the funds, again going back to 32 years of man hours just for the front-end development. And of course, we heard the famous comment about Garage IT Group were able to recreate the app over a weekend. Now we see currently in the country, and again, it's $54 million for this app, over 1 million Canadians a month are visiting food banks. We see our Chief of Defense Staff, General Ayer, commenting the chaplains in the armed forces are saying members are group funding or having to seek donations to pay for food for our defense ministers, or sorry, for our soldiers. And at the same time, the government spent $54 million for what seems to be just optics. The app, we heard Liberals actually in the OGO claiming that the app saved tens of thousands of lives, which we know is just, again, a bizarre optic claim that it's not a medical device to save lives. So we hear from the government trying to justify the creation of ArriveCan as lifesavers. And then we had the former Minister of Transport saying it's to keep Canadians safe and to enhance travel. But then at the same time, we saw 10,000 users sent into involuntary quarantine by error because of problems with the app. We had a couple, Don and Karen Bennett of Burlington, so they got a notice from the government threatening a $5,000 fine plus sending the police to them because the app identified them as should have gone into quarantine by error. We have massive lines at the airport because of the problems with the app, problems with performance and other issues. And then we had the Director of Privacy at the Canadian Civil Liberties Association saying the term I use for the app, the government's discussion or description of the app is dishonest. And then we have Mr. Curry's article, and we've got so many concerns about the app. We've heard from Bottler, which is a small IT company out of Montreal, at the center of Mr. Curry's article, has filed 2 wrongdoing complaints separately with PSPC and CBSA over the procurement process. And yet we had PSPCA, senior PSPCA, and the head of CBSA at OGO after these wrongdoing complaints were filed. And yet they failed to even bring this up under questioning, purposely admitting that they have wrongdoing investigations going on. We had top officials not disclosing this to OGO. We had Mr. Firth from GC Strategies himself lying to committee about his relationship with CBS officials at CBSA and PSPC. We had a top official with CBSA testifying there was no relationship with anyone with with GC Strategies, and yet the article from Mr. Curry in the Globe and Mail shows that is a clear lie. We had top PSPC official claim that GC Strategies was chosen for this project because it was a professional IT firm. A second top official stated GC Strategies was chosen because it was a professional IT firm when we know it was basically a lobbyist firm.
Thank you,
and I'm out of
Mr.
my time,
McCauley.
but I just wanted to express to you a lot of the issues that have come out
Thank you,
of
Mr.
the
McCauley.
ArriveCan.
We'll be back to you.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's the history of the ArriveCan app. I'll save you some pain. I got through all of the testimony or questioning. It's supposed to be questioning, but it's not. Of the Liberal, which is smoke blower, NDP, another smoke blower. This guy's the NDP right here, and the Bloc Québécois, who really didn't really answer any questions about anything. So now we get to Larry Brock. He's going to ask some pointed questions to the Attorney General, and we'll let you have a listen, and then we'll let you have a listen to what happens afterwards, and you can be the judge. Anyway, without further ado.
And when do you think when we do have the audit, of course, when it is tabled, you said prior to 2024, correct? I think you mentioned that in your last response.
The ArriveCan audit, we intend to release it in early 2024 once Parliament resumes. Parliament comes back, I think, end of January, so it'll be sometime in the coming weeks or months after that.
Thank you very much. That is the time. Mr. Brock, you are now up. I'm going to ask that you dispense with your intro again. And you have the floor for 4 minutes and 45 seconds.
Thank you, Chair. AG Hogan, I want to ask a clarifying question. Based on what I've heard on your responses to my colleagues, are you saying that your office, you in particular, found out that the RCMP is investigating the contracts under the $54 million ArriveCAN app, not by the Government of Canada itself, but from reading the Globe and Mail story?
Yes, despite my staff being in auditing all of the departments in this audit, management had not informed me that they had referred a contracting matter, which involved many common players that we are looking at, to the RCMP. The morning that the newspaper article was released, senior management did reach out to my office, and my team has been in contact with them and in continuous dialogue since then.
I want to break that response down a little bit more. You mentioned that you were dealing with a number of departments. Can you name those departments that did not inform you about the RCMP investigation?
So it's my understanding from reading the article that it was the Canada Border Services Agency that did the referral, and so I would have expected that they would have informed us. Through the course of our audit, we always ask questions linked to actual suspected or alleged fraud, and we would expect that there's an ongoing responsibility for officials to keep us informed of any matters that are relevant to the subject that we are auditing. And so I am disappointed that they did not tell us.
Well, not only are you disappointed, but Canadians are disappointed. Members of Parliament are disappointed. You have been charged with a very serious responsibility, and one would think at the very least the government would exercise some transparency and accountability to notify you about this investigation, and they failed. Failed you, failed Canadians. Moving on. The actual story itself, was that read by you on the 3rd of October when it was released?
I read it at some point. I can't tell you that I actually read it on the 3rd, but I know that I've read it, and I've read several articles since then. Yes.
Before I get into more specific questions, I take it you read it thoroughly. It's a very long article.
I did. I actually reread it last night just in case,
Right.
but it is a very lengthy article. Yes.
As an Auditor General for this country, did it raise red flags to you?
Well, it in my mind covers one half of the story, and I think I needed to understand some of the statements in the article. It has caused me, as an auditor, to ask my team to go back and make sure that we've covered off everything we should have. We have the intention of re-interviewing people we interviewed and asking them questions. We have intentions of interviewing new people as a result of the article.
Can you identify who the new people are that you're interviewing?
So I'm still in a conversation with the Canada Border Services Agency about that, and we want to inform them, but we did tell them a few days ago that our intention is to speak directly with certain contractors, and so we asked them to, let them know that we would be doing that.
Okay.
So until we've sort of landed on that, and as I said, we don't typically share the scope of our work and who we talk to during our audit,
And I'm not
we'll
asking
do
that.
when
I understand your preamble, the opening statement, and the restrictions that you have. As far as new people to interview, would that include the two stakeholders from Bottler?
So again, we're going to figure out who we want to talk to. We still have to request certain information. The information I would like to see is the actual allegations that were given to the department, and until I've seen that, I'm not sure if we want to interview anyone from the organization that laid those allegations.
At the core of the allegations, they use the phrase misconduct. But when you go deep dive into the particular story, it goes beyond misconduct. It goes into criminality. And that's why the RCMP is investigating it. There are allegations regarding identity theft, fraudulent forged resumes, contractual theft, fraudulent billing, price fixing, collusion, all with senior bureaucrats with the Government of Canada and the three contractors in question, GC Strategies, Delian Enterprises, and Coridex. At the heart of the article,
Mr. Brightman, that is your time, but you'll have another opportunity
Thank you.
to pick that up again. Thank you. Ms. Khalid, you have the floor for 5 minutes now, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I'll start by thanking Ms. Hogan, our Auditor General, for her time today and for being so forthcoming with all of the questions. We realize it's a constant week, so at this time, Mr. Chair, I move that the committee do now adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's not debatable. I'll ask the clerk for a roll call, please.
Mr. Marcoullis?
Mr. Brock, we're having a vote.
Yes. So I'm calling Mr. Marcoullis.
Sorry, Macaulay.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Mr. Nader?
No.
Mr. Brock?
No.
Madame Sinclair Desgagnés?
Non.
Mr. Desjardins?
Yes.
Mr. Blois?
Yes.
Ms. Bradford?
Yes.
Ms. Khalid?
Yes.
Madame Shanahan?
Yes.
Ms. Yip?
Yes.
6 yeas, 4 nays.
Thank you. I adjourn the meeting.
Absolutely criminal, isn't it? Absolutely criminal. Wait till you see the next one. It's unbelievable. You won't even believe. I'll cue it up for you. You can have a look. One sec. It's old news already. So just to give you a little background on this here, this is the SNC Lavalin scandal, and they're doing questioning on it. So let's check it out.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
So Madame Fortier had the floor.
This is the beginning of the
She
meeting.
moved the motion. The motion is not debatable, so we're gonna have to go to the vote. And I assume that there's no agreement on this.
Certainly, there's no agreement to shut down a meeting when we have the commissioner.
Chair, sorry, Chair, that's very,
Yeah.
Chair.
Okay, we're dealing with this right now. So I've made my ruling. We are going to go to the vote because it's a non-debatable motion. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Unbelievable.
So, Madame Fortier a proposé que la réunion soit ajournée. Mr. Baines.
Yes.
Ms. Damoff.
Yes.
Mr. Kellaway.
Yes.
Madame Fortier.
Oui.
Ms. Khalid.
Yes.
Mr. Barrett.
No.
Monsieur Gourde.
No.
Mr. Kirk.
No.
Monsieur Villemur. Mr. Desjardins.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeas 7, nays 3.
Okay, thank you. The vote has passed. With apologies to the Commissioner and the Staff Sergeant, this meeting is adjourned.
What a joke.
So we're here in the Standing Committee on Access to Information, Privacy and Ethics. We literally have the Commissioner for the RCMP in the room. We have a Staff Sergeant from the RCMP in the room. And we have these Liberals right there. The Liberal Vice Chair, Mona Fortier, just moved to adjourn the committee. These Liberals voted to shut it down. Mike Callaway, Parn Baines, hand them off, Iker Khalid, Crochet. That's absolutely unacceptable. Look at them. They're very proud to cover up the corruption of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And so when we have the commissioner of the RCMP here to answer questions, and we have the cover-up coalition do what they do, and they adjourn the meeting before the commissioner even read his statement. And so I can tell you that we came here to work. Meeting notice was given, and they are walking out of the room. They're running with their tail between their legs because they're trying to protect a prime minister who refused to release information that the RCMP had requested, hiding behind cabinet confidence. Now, the purpose of cabinet confidence, of course, is so that ministers are free to discuss decisions and the details of the discussions aren't released to the media. But what they've used the cabinet confidence provisions for in this case is to conceal information from the RCMP to prevent them from being able to fully investigate the obstruction of justice charges that they were looking at the time. And so it's shocking to find ourselves in a room where in just moments ago these Liberals shut down the hearing. And so we had the commissioner of the RCMP. He was right there just a moment ago. And that's what transparency and accountability looks like after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. I can tell you, for our democratic institutions, this Prime Minister is just not worth the cost, and we're going to have more to say about this.
Unbelievable, folks. You just can't how do you have words, right? How do you have words for that? I don't know. It's just amazing to me that these people are getting away with this, and we have to take a stand. We have to say this is enough. We don't want this anymore, right? It's up to us. Nobody in a white horse is going to come riding in. Pierre Poilievre is not going to be able to do this by himself. Okay? He's not going to come in and wave his magic wand and everything's going to be back to normal. This is going to take a lot of time. Trudeau has screwed this country up so badly, and it's so corrupt that it's because nothing ever happens to anybody. Nothing ever happens to anybody. They commit these crimes and nothing ever happens. And that's just the way it is. So here's Larry Brock. This is having to do, I believe, with with one of the two, but we'll let you listen to this.
It's abundantly clear that for close to 4 years that the RCMP, who claims in a newspaper report that they conducted the most thorough and comprehensive and fair assessment of all the evidence, only interviewed 3 people. Were you aware of that, sir?
Yes, that's what the records show.
And the reason I'm asking these questions, sir, is because the NDP Liberal Coalition actually shut down an ethics committee yesterday to prevent the RCMP commissioner from testifying on very important details as to how they legally concluded that they lacked the reasonable and probable grounds to arrest Justin Trudeau for obstruction of justice. So I want to hearken back to your legal career, Mr. Conacher, and think about the evidence that Canadians did hear, that we as parliamentarians heard, but more importantly, the evidence the RCMP heard. The evidence the RCMP heard was the direct testimony of our former first ever Indigenous Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, who kept incredible detailed notes and also recorded conversations. So I want you to factor that in, and also factor in our former ethics commissioner, Mr. Dion, who concluded that the Prime Minister, with the support of friends and other members of Cabinet and the Prime Minister's office, conducted a series of overt, direct acts attempting to influence the decision of Jody Wilson-Raybould. And you know, sir, that under the criminal code, under section 139, the actual obstruction need not take place, that you could be found guilty just with an attempt. Is that fair?
Yes, attempt is covered.
Right. So do you find it rather curious that the RCMP, after 4 years interviewing a sum total of 3 individuals, that the ethics commissioner actually quadrupled, I think they interviewed 16 to 17 witnesses, collapsed the House of Cards and claimed that there was no corrupt intent on behalf of the Prime Minister? Were you aware of that phrase that the RCMP used?
Yes, that's in the records.
Agree with me, sir, that a corrupt intent is not an essential ingredient to the mens rea requirement under Section 139. In fact, all you need to prove is it criminalizes deliberate acts which seek to obstruct, interfere, or hinder the pursuit of justice. And in this case, the pursuit of justice is Jody Wilson-Raybould had the courage to say, no, Mr. Prime Minister, you are not going to influence me, and I'm not going to give a remediation agreement to a corporate entity in Quebec that has some serious criminal charges. So you can understand and appreciate why
Mr. Brock,
you can understand and appreciate why we wanted to hear from the commissioner. Would you agree?
Yes.
Thank you.
And there you have it, folks, right there. You know, would you agree? Yes, I would. There you go. So why haven't the RCMP arrested him? Why haven't they arrested Trudeau for tampering with an investigation? Why haven't they done that? Who knows? We just don't know. So I'll cue up the last video. Give me a half sec here. Okay, folks, this is the continuation of the last interview. This is a continuation of the end of the last one. So I'll just play you this.
I know that you were successful, sir, through an ATIP of receiving some 1,815 pages of RCMP records with respect to, quote unquote, their assessment as opposed to investigation. We now know that there are well over 2,000 pages that have yet to be released to you. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
And quite frankly, sir, with my legal background over 30 years, I have prosecuted multiple homicides that actually had less disclosure than obstruction of justice. All criminal code offenses are serious. This one in particular is very serious. It's a hybrid offense. And if convicted by indictment, that individual would go to prison. So I appreciate the seriousness by which you conducted yourself, sir, on behalf of Canadians.
And there you have it again, folks. Crazy stuff. You just can't make it up. You know, you just can't make it up. The RCMP needs to go and needs to arrest these people for scamming Canadians with the ArriveCan app and with the SNC Lavalin. Trudeau directly interfered with an investigation, and that's according to Jody Raybould. And yeah, so what's, you know, like Larry Brock said, I've had less disclosure in a murder trial, and you know, he's tried and convicted several murderers. So you know, so what's the problem? I don't understand. Anyway, well, I guess we just hope and pray that everything's going to come out here, because I want to know the truth. I want to know if Trudeau was lying. And, you know, it's pretty obvious that he is. He's trying to cover it right up. So, yeah, I think everybody else wants to know that too. And a committee like this will bring it out. So, what are you afraid of, Justin? What are you afraid of, Jagmeet? What are you afraid of? Like, obviously, you both have to be involved because the NDP is covering for the Liberals on both accounts. Both accounts. So there's obviously NDP and Liberal involvement in this. There has to be. Just thinking as a reasonable citizen. So let's see the hearings and stop shutting them down. I think everybody could agree with that. Every other Canadian would be on my side on that one. So stop doing it. Anyway, folks, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next video.